All right, that brings us to the end of our brief business segment there. Time to take a look at what's grabbing headlines here in France now. Lots on focus yesterday's violence breaking out between police and protesters in many French cities, Flo.
That's right, and several police officers were injured. You can read more about that on the front page of Le Figaro today, which focuses on 24 police officers wounded during those skirmishes. And according to Le Figaro and other papers, over 100 protesters were arrested after this violence between protesters and police. Le Parisien today talks about the law of violence, what started out as a demonstration against the so-called El Khomri law, this attempt to reform the labor code here in France. Well, it's quickly turned into a full-fledged battle. Inside, Le Parisien describes what it was like in Paris. There were 3 hours of guerrilla warfare, according to Le Parisien, and similar scenes in Rennes, Nantes, Bordeaux, Toulouse, Marseille, really across the country.
Now, papers clearly divided about who's to blame for these skirmishes.
That's right. L'Humanité, the communist paper, says that it's the police that violently charged these demonstrators. You can see on their front page here, they're saying that the government is losing its cool, its self-control. But other papers say, no, it was actually the demonstrators, and maybe not even the demonstrators, but groups of what's known as casseurs here in France, hooligans or troublemakers that kind of take advantage of a demonstration to essentially just fight with the police. And you can read more about that here in Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien, which takes a look at who are these casseurs, who are these troublemakers. It's a very diverse group of essentially radical anti-establishment groups on the extreme left. So you have anarchists, anti-fascists, anti-globalization groups. You've also got some kids from the inner cities, the banlieue, that come to fight with the police as well. That's really their main aim. This demonstration is just an excuse, but unfortunately, according to Le Parisien and other papers, their action really gives a bad press and a bad name to the whole demonstration in general.
Well, meanwhile, papers are continuing to focus on the Nuit debout, which started out as an offshoot, if you will, of these anti-labour law protests.
That's right. They started on the evening of March 31st. So it started off as this protest against the law, but it quickly spiraled into something else. Just what? We're still trying to figure that out. We talked about this in French Connections together. Now, Libération says that Nuit debout is really having to face itself. Now, currently, Nuit debout is built on a rejection of hierarchy. It's a citizens' movement. It's apolitical. It has no leader, no spokesperson. But according to Libé and its editorial, now is the time to make choices. The Nuit debout clearly has to decide which direction it wants to go in. And according to Libération, it has several choices. One choice is just to continue to be a radical movement that occupies public space and holds endless debates. But Libé says that if this is the case, people will probably get bored of Nuit debout and eventually it'll run out of steam. So that's one choice. But Libé says that the other choice is for Nuit debout to really buckle down and get organized and get structured and perhaps turn into a political movements like Podemos in Spain that kind of came off the Indignados movement. So there could be a similar situation here in France. And in that case, Nuit debout could really weigh in on French politics in the long run. But for now, it has to make a choice.
Well, some are less patient, Flo. They've had enough of the Nuit debout movement. They want the government to simply move in and stop all of this.
That's right. L'Opinion, the pro-business paper, has very harsh words for Nuit debout in its editorial today. It says the government has essentially put up long enough with the movement. And okay, sure, there's some gentle dreamers in this group. They're idealistic and everything, but they'll never win. It's the hardliners within the Nuit debout movement that are probably going to win. And L'Opinion says that if you look at their ideas, well, actually, they're very dangerous. They want to take away people's property. They want to stop working. So Nuit debout has a very bad opinion about Nuit debout. It says that, according to L'Opinion, Nuit debout wants to reinvent democracy, but actually they're contradicting democracy. And you can see their headline here, Nuit debout is turning into a nightmare for everyone.
For everyone, well, some people's view anyway. All right, moving on. Let's end with a novel, with a word, rather, about a graphic novel. and a surprising football team.
That's right. French people love graphic novels, it must be said. And this one is it mixed sports, history, politics. I must admit, it sounds pretty cool. And you can read more about it in Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien here. You can see they're talking about the incredible FLN football team. Now, the FLN is the Front de Libération Nationale. It's the leading political party in Algeria, and it was also the principal nationalist movement during Algeria's civil war. So what is this graphic novel about? Well, it's called Un maillot pour l'Algérie, so a soccer jersey, a football jersey for Algeria, and it comes back on a little known period in history. This was in 1958, during the Algerian civil war. 12 talented Algerian football players who actually were playing in France, including several who were perhaps going to be drafted to play for the French team during the World Cup. Well, they disappeared from French territory and they went back to Algeria, and they actually formed Algeria's first national football team under the auspices of the FLN, and they went on to have a very successful career. They won more than 80 matches. So for a first football team, it was a pretty good showing. And so the book is called Un maillot pour l'Algérie. And yeah, you should definitely check it out.
All right, Flo. Well, that's where we leave the music. That's where we leave the papers roundup for this morning, for now at least. Thank you very much.